All right, and we are live, mostly done with client work for today, not fully. A little bit that I need to get done. Thought I would open one of these up, see how quickly it fills up. But since most of you who chime in after the fact, please remember to subscribe down below. Please remember to like the video down below. Join my Orc Army. Follow me on Instagram. Also, you guys, you always ask me what I eat. If you just followed me on Instagram, you wouldn't need to ask that. Already, we've got a silly clown wants to get banned. Let me just get rid of him. Bye. Trying to get through the intro, man, and you're already getting yourself banned. All right. You guys already know I do tons of conditioning work. You already know that I have a six-pack. I'm not exactly fat. I'm not exactly out of shape. All right, and remember to use my Amazon affiliate link down below. But let's get over to some content. And you guys see the title. So I think it's fair if I put something in the title to just block you without warning. What are your opinion on extreme bench press arches? They're fine, Ernest. You know that I've made multiple videos on that. I don't think it's a problem. I think that people who care about that need to get a life and quit worrying about it. So there's 5 women in the world in lightweight classes who can cut their range of motion really short inside the rules of the sport. Do you care? I think it's insane that they allow someone with genetics like Michael Jordan to compete in basketball. They should just cut him out. He shouldn't have those genetic attributes. It's not fair. It's cheating. Ban him from the sport. What's the difference? Except that his actually makes money and powerlifting doesn't. Costs you money to compete. Any more plans to upgrade home gym? No, I don't have space. Why would I care about cable? What specialty bars? What specialty bars do you think I don't have? I don't even use the 14 specialty bars I have most of the time. I have 3 different types of football bars. I don't even use them. I think bamboo bars are kind of dumb. And I have no use for cables. I'm not really a big cable fan. What do they bring to the table that bands and dumbbells don't? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Good to see you back, Coach. Yep, I'm here. Do hip thrusts carry over to squats and deadlifts? To some extent, yeah. To some extent. Hello, Koth. Happy week. I don't know. Could we just drop all the silly C words and Koth and all that nonsense? It's really immature, guys. Come on. My hands get really sweaty on pull-ups. Can I use gloves if I don't have chalk? No, don't wear gloves. If you can avoid it, don't wear gloves. They get you hurt. Chalk is cheaper than gloves. Get some liquid grip. Problem solved. Hi, Coach. We have seen you mess around with intermittent fasting the past weeks. What's your current opinion affects viable performance and muscle building? I think your question's too vague. Question's too vague. I mean, I don't train fasted, if that's what you're asking. We know training fasted is bad. That has been proven in the lab. I don't do that. Outside of that, I'm really not sure what you're asking. I think the over-exaggerated art bench hurts the image of powerlifting to casuals. Benny, only because you guys obsess over it and share it all the time and talk about it. Like they wouldn't know about it. If you guys who obsess over it mindlessly and make all those posts didn't highlight it, no one would even know it exists. Do you see the problem there? You're like something that 5 women in the world, some of them in non-English speaking countries, can do in a sport. Since you guys make such a big deal and highlight it, that's the only reason people even know it exists. Like, do you really think you're going to go to powerlifting meets and actually see this happen? So if you don't want to hurt the sport with it, then quit talking about it all the time. Like you guys act like it's this big deal. It's not. I think it's unfair in basketball that a guy like Michael Jordan was allowed to compete with rare genetic traits that no one else had. That's bad for the image. It's unfair. You realize it's a rare set of genetic traits, works within the confines of the rules. That's all it is. And they're not necessarily winning. The bench press isn't how you win powerlifting meets. What about a yoke? Do you think there would be any benefit to that kind of weighted carry like strongmen do? Sure. I don't have room for one personally, but I've had clients who do them. Why not? Sure. Do you still recommend Ernest? I have clients who in their blogs do it still. I think that good programming is good programming, and that is one type of good programming. I can do multiple different types of good programming and get people elite, which I've demonstrated for you guys. However, you guys aren't clicking the like, so we're not going to discuss anymore until you guys click like, because there's 3 of you watching for every like right now. So I'm going to drink my electrolyte water until you guys click like. A couple more. There we go. Do you recommend straps for novices with grip issues, deadlifts? Probably not for novices. No, you guys need to fix your grip. It'll fix real quick. More intermediate lifters, I'll let them do their volume pulling with straps, but not I don't want their heavy pulling done with it. My guys will do it anyways. I don't like it. I was just asked because I already have some gloves lying around. By the way, that 305 looks good. Yeah, bench will come back up now. Do you think intermittent fasting, despite consuming the same amount of calories, will cause you to build less muscle and strength? There's only impact if I think the fasted training, you will absolutely gain less. And it's not my opinion. That's what the research shows, right? Training fasted is dumb. You lose less fat if you do fasted cardio. You gain less muscle if you do fasted lifting. Is what it is. It's dumb. All the evidence says it's dumb. As far as the rest goes, it's really probably going to depend on total protein intake. I mean, you could come up with extreme examples where you could still hurt your gains with it. Like, let's say you did 1 meal a day and you try to get the fastest absorbing protein possible. That would probably definitely hurt your gains. But if you have a 6-hour feed window, and you're eating 200 plus grams of protein spaced out, it probably won't. It shouldn't hurt gains. But here's the question I would ask you. If you're intermittent fasting, you're probably not in a phase where you're trying to maximize gains anyways, right? You fast to control calories. I agree that a man with over a 40-inch vertical leap at 6 foot playing basketball is a cheat code. As a smaller basketball player, may only had the advantage of my speed and having to be better at the sport itself. Exactly, Jordan. So we could argue that women with short arms in lighter weight classes who have really flexible spines, is completely unfair for them to be in powerlifting. But that's how genetics work. Have you dabbled in wrestling and BJJ before? Nope. Thought it'd be a fun question. If you absolutely had to choose a gym to go to that isn't a home gym, could it be any gym? Which would it be? I don't like hypothetical questions like that, to be honest. I don't know. Why? I don't understand. What's the point? I don't see where we're going with that. It's kind of a nonsense question, bro. I wouldn't even know how to answer it. I have no idea. Squat 465, deadlift 500. Just started the SSB. Good morning and with good form. 95 pounds for 3x15 was hard. Why is this? Because your back is weak. Similar to how you released Ice Cream Fitness 2.0, would you release another intermediate program more in line with your current training philosophy? If I do, it'll be an ebook. I wouldn't expect it in the next year. Jason, regarding working out in the AM, thoughts on a quick pre-workout meal, whey and fruit? Sure, nothing wrong with that. If you can do whey, I find whey kind of nauseates me. I might find a different protein source. Why don't you do Greek yogurt and fruit? That works great. That's a great point on what the goal is to be employing intermittent fasting. Exactly. You're usually doing it to keep tighter control of your calories. Well, if you're doing that, you're probably not chasing maximum size during that phase. Jason, is algae oil nonsense or should I eat salmon, supplement fish oil? Yeah, algae oil is nonsense. Is there any difference of the hypertrophy of 5x5 versus 5x10? Probably not. Thoughts on replacing deadlift rep work with snatch grip deadlifts? I don't know about that. I mean, if you need a secondary deadlift, a second hip hinge, and the snatch grip deadlift meets your needs, and by all means, you can do it as an assistance lift. I don't know about cutting out your actual deadlifts for it, though. Yeah, I've been thinking about doing, I have to cut a couple of pounds, so I have a huge appetite. Thanks for the insight. Getting strong at wide stance squats made my hips more mobile than stretching ever did. Yeah, because stretching doesn't work. Squatting will actually build mobility. Stretching doesn't. Stretching is one of the biggest scams that's ever been pulled on people by the training world. Jason, what do you think of 6 exercises per workout on 531? It's probably a bit much. What brand of headphones are they? I have no idea. I don't know if there's a tag you can see on them. I couldn't tell you. Bought them years ago. If you want to find this sort of thing, go to Amazon and type in gaming headsets. That's how I found it. All right. I went to Amazon and I said, gaming headsets. What do they have that looks good at a good price for 5 stars? And I hit the Amazon Prime button when I found a well-priced one with 5 stars. That's how I shop. You guys ask brands and stuff. So I don't fucking know. You guys really know what brand your headset is? Holy shit. That's crazy. If you're forced to work out in the morning, what would be something good to eat to help through the workout beforehand? Food. Did you buy new J cups? Yeah, I got some of those. The other type, I forget what they're called, mainly for benching, because I tend to hit my J hooks. For someone who just added deadlift in my program, first time ever pulled 140 for 5 with 1 rep in reserve. Remember, you said you don't recommend novice deadlifters do 5x10. What should I? That's fine. If you're running like 531, what's the problem? If you're a late novice, now if you're doing 140 for 5, you could do boring but big on 531 type programming. Hey Jason, I've been feeling a lot of burnout from workouts. Any advice on getting back on the wagon? Better programming. You're probably training too much. Look at what my clients do who put up big numbers. Look at how I train. Are you doing more than us? If you are, I can tell you why you're burned out. You're either going to need to up the dose, bro, a lot. Like you're going to need to double your steroid dose, or you're going to need to cut back on your work. That's why you're burned out. I've had a 2-year layoff. Should I start with basic novice routine? No, you could just start any easy LP program for a few weeks and then go into intermediate programming probably. You know what your old weak points were, so you don't need a true novice program. Train your old weak points too. Hey, Jason, any tips for guys lifting with ADHD besides stop fucking around? Of course, I'm an early intermediate lifter and I have the need to program hop. Quit program hopping. All right, you don't have the need. You're choosing to let your ADHD make you do that. Get on a program and stick to it and quit fucking around. That's it. That's all you have to do. You make a conscious choice if you're going to let your ADHD make decisions for you. All right. Switching programs is a conscious choice. That's not your spur of the moment ADHD. You are making a conscious choice. You have control over that. Quit giving away your free will. Would a guy that's 230, 5'10" intermediate lift have loose skin if they cut 30 pounds? Probably not. Not 30 pounds, dude. I lost over 100 pounds. That's why I have loose skin. Can closed grip floor press be good variation for triceps? It sounds like it would, Marco, but most coaches haven't had good luck. I've even had Dave Tate say it turns out that even though it looks like it'd be a good lift, it doesn't seem to carry over to bench. Jason, what do you think of using a 3-week of sets instead of percentage for boring but big? No, Alex, quit trying to reinvent the wheel. If you don't know how to program, then quit trying to make your own programs. And I know from your previous questions, you don't know what you're doing. So stop. See how easy that is? How is stretching a scam? If not through stretching, how else will someone improve their mobility? Through weight. Get under a squat bar and squat. That will improve your mobility. You have to do strength work. You need to do dynamic strength work at the range of motion you want to increase mobility through. Stretching doesn't increase mobility. It doesn't. Jason, are you a fan of low handle trap bar deadlifts? No. Would you still recommend people do Bulgarian if it means gaining experience in your lifts? Nope. Did you see the Brooklyn shooting? Nope. Does a set of wide grip pull-ups count as a full set for biceps? Oh, subject to debate, man. Maybe. It's at least a half set. Thanks for suggesting how to get back into training. Dr. Mike Israel tells us 5 throws enough volume for most people. Any truth to this? Yet thousands and thousands and thousands of people get jacked and strong on it. Okay, so if Dr. Mike says something, but you've seen the real world evidence that shows the opposite, then maybe he's got an agenda for sale because he tries to sell you really extreme volume programs and as part of his marketing. And a lot of his programming, even though he may have a PhD, isn't actually based on evidence, by the way. So a lot of his hypotheses are not actually supported by literature. They're just his theories. Okay, just keep that in mind. I'm not saying he doesn't get a lot of stuff right. Dr. Mike's a pretty smart guy, but there's definitely a marketing bias in what he does. Hey, Jason, thanks for a previous answer. What's been your biggest single cut and how long did you take? I don't know. John, I've been doing this for decades. I'm 45 years old. Asking me something like that, I wouldn't have a fucking clue. The exact biggest cut I did and how long I wouldn't know. I mean, was it when I lost 100 pounds before? Maybe. I don't remember how long it took. Right? My memory gets fuzzy on things like that. I don't remember how many months it took. I mean, so how would I know? What are other ways of achieving mobility? Strength training is really the only way to truly achieve mobility. I mean, you have to load the range of motion you want to get stronger in. Okay, you do know what the word mobility means, right? You need to look it up. It may not mean what you think it means. And that's the problem with people calling things mobility training. Did you get stronger in that range of motion? Then you didn't improve your mobility. Hey, Jason, unfortunately, a lot of my fight 15 points to 13 started off very well and took a commanding lead, then gassed out. In the last round, my opponent scored overall the most shots. Oh, I remember. Yeah, I told you to keep me up to date on that, Ethan. Sorry you lost, brother, but was it a learning experience? Learn from it. Come back better next time. If I feel hungry just for my workout, would one banana give me enough energy? You need to not be hungry when you work out. That's what the research shows. That is what the data is showing. You need to eat enough to not be hungry. You will perform better. Benefits of a SSB, good morning. It works things a little different. It's easy on your shoulders because the way the handles are set up. It's a little more back dominant than using other bars. You did a lot of great accessory work there on your bench. Thank you. Well, really, it was 4 exercises for the day. I did benching, we did incline, overhead press, we did tricep extensions. While you were doing DEXA scans of getting strong, as your goal was it to prove the trolls? Nazgul, you can't prove trolls and haters wrong. I never, ever have done anything to prove them wrong because you can't. No one in the history of the internet ever has ever proven a hater wrong. It cannot be done. It is impossible. And if you think in those terms, you're going to fail. Okay, you're going to fail because your haters will always move the goalpost. All right. I did the DEXA scans for documentation purposes. That's it. That's it. Documentation. How would you generally program a 3-day 5-3-1 when the goal is aesthetics? It's mainly about cupping the balls. Like that's the main important thing for aesthetics. It's all about how you cup his balls. I think when most people say 5-3-1 isn't enough volume, they reference the original template with the extra volume work. Like, yeah, I don't know what they're talking about. They've got to be Marco, because it's not a low volume program. Like anyone who's read the books would never say that. Hey, coach, does the time of day when you train matter? Should it be constant around the same time? It should be pretty consistent because you're going to perform better if you're consistent with it personally. All right, then let me rephrase it because I think this is what you're getting at. How is stretching for flexibility? Oh, flexibility. Well, you guys were talking about mobility. You got to pick one. Those are not the same thing, right? Because mobility is a strength function. Okay. Did your squat go up out of the bottom at the very extreme range of motion by 50 pounds? That would be improved mobility. Did you get stronger at the terminal end of your range of motion? Flexibility, stretching, dynamic stretching can sometimes help flexibility slightly. Static stretching really doesn't. But the question I ask you is, keep in mind, do you need more flexibility? Because being hyper flexible can injure you in a lot of sports. So you need to always think about, why are you getting more flexible? Jason, why are plant-based meats considered healthy when their ingredients list they're not considered healthy? No reasonable person I know considers them healthy, Alex. Only weird, kooky vegans and people who are selling them claim that. It's not even a reason. No reasonable person thinks that they are. They're garbage or junk food. I'm feeling very, very down at the moment. I'm getting tempted to stick to powerlifting instead. Also, thank you for your kind message, Jason. I will be back somehow or another. Hey, man, I mean, you got to decide what sport is right for you, brother, if that sport's right, and how much you want to invest in it. You know, either pull yourself up by the bootstraps and decide, okay, boxing's what you want to do, and dig in and keep getting better, keep getting better, keep getting better, even if you lose, right? Or pick something else, but you need to commit. As a coach, have you dealt with all types of clients, like people you don't have to discipline or people you have to motivate? Yeah. Oh, future. Like, I mean, I talk about sometimes, well, I've got to be a hard ass with clients. Dude, I have other clients. I don't have to do that ever. I mean, I can name right out immediately one that comes to mind, Justin. You guys have seen Justin stuff. He's got about 5,000 Instagram followers. Dude, Justin is so disciplined and so driven. And for those who are unaware, remember the black guy I showed you guys who deadlifts like 560 sumo, did that Zercher deadlift off the floor? That guy, Justin. All right. He is so disciplined and driven in his training that if anything, I have to reel him back. I got to make him take deloads because he doesn't want to. He's like, well, I'll train through it. It hurts a little bit. Coach, I got this. And I'm like, no, dude, you're going to tear a bicep. We got to reel you in, brother. It's okay. Bring it down a notch. Because that guy, he doesn't know how to quit. Like, he's a fucking machine. You know, he is. I mean, as you guys can tell as his coach, even I'm just like shaking my head because it's impressive. You know, and I've had others who I have to motivate. So yeah, it's different for different people. Would I stimulate less muscle growth if I do 16 sets per session versus 10 sets? Maybe, depends on the muscle and you know what's going on. Oh, Archer, I appreciate the donation, brother. Thanks for all the years of content. I'm glad I rediscovered you. I'm glad you did too. Jason, do you think clenbuterol is worth it? I think it depends on the person. I haven't used Clen for any of my cutting so far. And you guys saw what I did going into that water cut. You guys saw where I was a few days before, shirtless and everything, even doing my pull-ups. If you go back and check that week, I didn't use any Clen. I didn't use any fat burners. Could I look at them and say if I wanted to get to a certain level of leanness, quite, under 10%, maybe, I'd have to weigh out something like Clen. But, in all honesty, if someone's not trying to get really, really, really lean, I don't think Clen is worth it at all, to be honest. Tyrone, I'm not discussing any of my insurance or any of that with you. Sorry. Because the trolls love to obsess over stuff like that. It makes you suspect already. I have started my cut. Will cut about 7 kilograms as an intermediate. What should I expect on 531 boring but big? Strength / progression wise, things to take into account. Thanks for all the great info. If you're going to cut 7 kilo, I wouldn't expect to really progress much. I'm going to be honest with you where you are. It'll help you maintain where you are and prime you for your gains when you finish cutting. Right? If hypertrophy work doesn't need periodization, then would you expect to stall them 5 by 10 apart from? Well, no, because that's just straight sets across. I'm saying you could run some concurrent training. You may not need to. Dean, thank you for the donation. Should one avoid static stretching even if they're doing BJJ in conjunction with barbell sensor strength training? Things for the content. Yeah, Dean, I'm not going to recommend static stretching. Now, for your BJJ, you may need some dynamic type stretching. Hey, you may need some heavy loaded, like strength-based stretching, specifically that's sport specific to the movements you need to do. But I don't think static stretching is particularly useful for any real athlete. It's just never been well supported in the research over the years. And it can reduce performance. Do you have clients asking for steroids advice, particularly for younger ones? Obviously. I mean, and that's the thing, obviously I do have some clients who use gear. I have clients who compete in untested sports. I'm willing to give a certain amount of advice there, but I'm definitely not going to give that advice to younger. If I get an 18-year-old client asking me about roids, I'm going to tell him no. Okay. Let's just be realistic here. I think that's too young. I would rather them not go that route. Even if they want to compete untested, they need a few more years usually of training drug-free, honestly. I'm not comfortable with guys under 21 doing a blast, to be honest with you. I don't think it's wise. It's my opinion. Would you be willing to accept unpaid interns to assist your business? No, because I don't want people in my business. Can seasonal allergies affect gains? April? Yeah, they might. Take Benadryl. Jason, would a sitting hamstring curl with a band be good supplemental exercise? Granted, there's nowhere for me to get my hands on the GHR. Possibly. You know what I like people to, and laying ones on a machine suck because of active insufficiency. You can lay on your bench and hook one up on the rack behind you and do them even laying on your bench on your stomach. I do have a few lifters who have to train at home who that's what we've done just to get that work capacity for high reps, right? How long is the process of dehydration to make weight? For me, about 7 to 8 days. And you don't lose any weight till the final 24 hours. You gain weight, actually. So you guys saw the final 24 hours on Instagram, complete with the photos. And people are like, oh my God, you got veins in your abs. You got veins all over your thighs during the last, 15 hours of the water cut. Because again, for those who are unaware, I documented all of it on Instagram, like photos every 3 to 4 hours, and my weights all the way down to the 198, and then be stepping on the scale at 220 the next morning, ready to compete. So I cut all the way because I was 214, 24 hours out. And because I was originally 209, but I adjusted my food and it made my water go up and then it dropped down. So it took me, several days of loading And then we have a whole process. And then so I went from 214, 24 hours out, to 198 for weigh-in, and then stepped on the scale at 223 hours before the meet. And by the end of the meet, I was up to 230, by the way. So I was 32 pounds over my weigh-in weight by the end of the meet. But it's about a 7 to 8 day long process if you're going to water load and sodium load and everything correctly. If someone wants to be a coach, how should they determine how much to charge clients? Is it based on how much experience you have? What's the youngest guy you know someone started taking gear like 14? What can Mike hit on the big three now? Mike's deadlift is bad. He's squatting 480 or so. He's benching 365 with a pause, but his deadlift is about 490. We're still struggling there. I'm trying to build his low back up. Sorry, guys, I'm burping here. Jason, would you say most of the side effects from gear are due to sodium intake? That's one element, visible side effects. Most of it's diet. Yeah, you're right, Jason. I need to stop juggling both sports. I have a 260 bench, 360 squat, 425 deadlift, 20. I think I can definitely compete in less than a year's time. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that probably is the real Antonio. Hey, Jason, if using just test alone, what is the Zalentide to using over a gram? Thanks. If your diet's on point, you're not going to get side effects on a gram. And I know people go, what? That's great. You're not. If your diet's on point, you're not going to get side effects on a gram of test. You have to have a shitty diet to get side effects on that. You won't even bloat. You won't even get acne. You may need to block your nipples, though, with some Novadex. But outside of that, you shouldn't really get sides on that unless you just got really bad, weak genetics. What body fat percentage are you now, and how far are you going to take the cut before you bulk? I'm not breaking down my full bulking plan because I'm holding a lot of water because I'm eating a lot of salt and I'm water loading a lot right now. I'm probably about 14% based upon I had a really, really experienced physique coach who's a friend of mine assessed, and he said I was 13 to 15% in his opinion. So we'll put it about 14. I'm probably going to go down eventually to 10% by the end of next competitive year for powerlifting. When do you decide to add weight on accessories? Whenever you feel like it. I think you guys overthink progression on accessories. They're accessory work. Thank you for the donation, Matthew. I like the kettlebell press because the bell is behind the wrist. Does this help with the rear delt since the load of the bell is further back? No, it probably doesn't. But if you're more comfortable, if it feels more natural to you as a movement, and some people do with the kettlebell. I've messed with kettlebells. Other place where I spend some time, I actually have a big old pile of kettlebells, and I mess with them some. They're different. The balance is different, and some people do feel they're easier on their shoulders and stuff. So if it is, then knock yourself out. Because I know people who love kettlebells for that reason, for like pressing and things. But I don't think it's going to hit the rear delt further. Wouldn't taking gear at 14 stunt growth like high? Yes. Hey, Jason, why aren't you doing good mornings these days? You have one of the best heavy good mornings in YouTube. I don't need them. I feel like I got so strong at the good mornings that for me to push them and get anything out of them, I have to move so much weight now that it interferes with my ability to deadlift in the week. So with me doing all the heavy work sets of deadlifts on Fridays, it's kind of hard for me to do good mornings now. Because like you said, you've seen me good morning like 550 pounds. You guys have watched me do sets of 10 with 400. It interferes in my ability to deadlift because it got so strong out of it. Have you ever coached family? Yes. Do you think to attain the most physio knowledge, one should go through college and get degrees, PhDs? No, not necessarily. What would be your next firearm purchase? I'm looking at a Mini 30. I'm actually considering buying several Glock 45 Gen 5s, actually. Like a set of them is actually possible next firearm purchase. But I'm trying to choose between that and the 45 and the 17 still. What I need to do to look like I lift according to the internet standards, like a gram of trim, by internet standards. What's your experience of U.S. meets versus U.K. meets? They were so far apart, it's hard to compare because the whole sport has changed. Thoughts on every minute on the minutes for conditioning work? No, do real conditioning work. Go drag a sled. Way better. How would you balance out sport-specific cardio, boxing with strength training? You mainly Alexander Leonidas. The name is awesome, by the way. Alpha Destiny had only used his real legal name for marketing. He missed a golden marketing opportunity. His actual legal name is better than his internet handle. Like, dude, your name is Alexander Leonidas. Like, why in the hell didn't you use that? You were given this alpha as fuck name, legal name, and you're not using it. I don't get it. But that aside, no junk volume. Okay, if you're gonna, because cardio for boxing is pretty intense. Boxing requires you to be in really good shape to be good at boxing. Okay, not to box, but to be good at boxing, you have to be in good shape. So you can't have junk volume. You need to basically look at your strength training and say, what is the minimum I need to get stronger, and trim everything else out, throw it in the trash. You don't even go, oh, I could do 3 more sets of curls. No, fuck that. Are they going to make you stronger? No, then don't throw them in. Okay. Same thing with your conditioning. Figure out how much conditioning you need to optimize your ring time. Don't do any more. Optimize it. That's how you balance it. You just got to cut out junk volume in all your supplemental training. Cool. Thanks for the info. I know 5-3-1 works in a good old 5x10, but is benching once a week good enough? Yeah. I know guys who bench over 500 pounds who bench once a week. Why is it that when I try using bend the bar cue during bench, descent point is all over the place? It's just that cue isn't working for you. It's not working for you. Try pulling the bar apart instead of bending it. Coach, ceiling too low for standing overhead press. Should do on the floor. I don't like Z press. I don't like any of those. How about you just don't overhead press then? Everything you said about bodybuilding in the past is correct, JB. I know. And I don't want to talk about it much these days, but you're right. For every inch in height, how much lean tissue does it add to the frame? I don't have an exact number, James. It's at least a few pounds, probably 4 to 5 pounds of muscle potential. Have you ever watched Strength Wars on YouTube? No. Is your home gym complete? Anything that you don't have that you wish you did? Oh, man. Maybe, I don't have the space for anything else really till I get a house. I would say the only other thing that would maybe be nice to have instead of the adjustable dumbbells would be a whole giant rack of individual fixed solid dumbbells. But you're looking at a few grand, you're looking at an enormous amount of space. So as far as the space I have, I mean, I'm pretty well complete. Do you agree with Wendler that good morning should be capped at 225 for volume? I think for a lot of people, because again, Marco, here's the other point we come to. I got really strong at them. And now for me to get anything out of a good morning, I have to go so heavy that it interferes with my deadlift. We could just deadlift instead at a certain point. Like if we're going to go much heavier than that, here's kind of what I found. I can just deadlift at that point. Bo says, come on, y'all, let's hit the like button. Hit that like button, guys. Riots. I don't make those comparisons anymore. Just ignore that old stuff. Don't worry about it. As far as using the supplemental list to determine you, but don't do that. Just forget I said that shit. Your life will be better. Jason, what advice would you give to minimize the negative effects of 24-hour shifts? Ooh, I have those on average 2 times a week. During those, maybe I get 4 hours of low quality. Don't try to sleep the next day. The best thing you can do doing that type of shift work, because that's rough, is you're going to have to get caught up on sleep between doing your workouts, and you're going to have to stagger your workouts around it. And it's just the nature of the beast. I'm sure, though, you're rewarded financially enough for it to make it worthwhile. All right. So do the best you can with timing your workouts. But the main thing, you're going to have to get that sleep caught up after those 24-hour shifts to really get the real benefit, to optimize your training. And if that means that you train one less day a week to pull that off, you'll make better gains for it. One of my Orc Warriors, Alpha Destiny, switched his alpha name to the most beta name I can think of, trying to have an alpha name when he already has it. You're right, and that is funny because it's true. The Alpha Destiny name is kind of beta when his real legal name is badass. Like, I was shocked because we didn't get along back then, and when I found out what his real name was, I'm like, dude, his actual name is fucking badass. Like, his dad naming him that wanted him to be this Chad. Because his real name is legitimately fucking awesome. I would thought it was made up, and I looked it up, and then he went to a powerlifting meet, so his ID says that. That's his real legal name. It's Alexander Leonidas. It's like, bro, why didn't you use that? That should be your channel name. Jason, do you think if you can get to 10% body fat, you can attract a larger audience? Probably. Yeah, since YouTube is obsessed with abs. It's not a question of if, it's just a question of how long is it going to take me to get there. How do you pin when too much scar tissue develops? Work around it, man. What dose of vitamin K2 do you recommend? I'm not sure if I recommend an exact dose. Coach, how do you breathe during overhead press? Breathe the top or the bottom? I don't really think about it that much, to be honest. To me, breathing is natural when I lift. It's not something I have to consciously think about. What's the cheapest you've seen for a reverse hyper? The little Scout ones. Mine is the second cheapest. Mine was like $420. It's pretty cost effective, really, and I've been happy with it. Actual favorite fitness person? I know you made a video admiring Martin Berkman for his no BS. Dude, I respect Martin. I respect the simplicity and straightforwardness of his methods. Even though I like certain amounts of programming and I do like certain amounts of complexity, Martin really gave people a no-nonsense approach that does work. It's just about putting in the work consistently. And it does work. And Martin is a strong, jacked guy. Do you think creatine can actually cause hair loss? No. What are the benefits of walking with a weight vest to get you in better shape? Jason, have you noticed more energy since you started supplementing omega-3s? You just recover in general better with more omega-3s. Jason, do you agree that an impressive physique will attract more dudes and girls? Yes. Jason, I'm pretty much have the same structure as you. I'm probably going to hit a 600 deadlift for you at 315 bench. It's just a common thing. Thinks, yeah, dude, it is, man. Yep. Unfortunately, you're built like me. It's not unreasonable that you might actually deadlift 600 before you bench 3 plates. Welcome to genetics and bone structure. When you lifted in commercial gyms, did you attract a lot of attention for your lifts? Most people, yes, I had an audience oftentimes. But think about it this way. All right. People have tried to spin me as not what my real personality is on the internet. I'm very extroverted, or else I wouldn't get up in front of a camera every day. Think about how much time I'm willing to spend in front of a camera all the time. Stop and think about that for a minute. I'm probably not an introvert. I'm not a shy person. I'm the guy who dances naked at parties when he drinks. That's me. That's why I don't drink anymore. So when I'm at a commercial gym, I like to show off. I'd like to get an audience. I like to make some noise so that everyone watches me lift that 500-600 pounds. Right? I want an audience. So I go out of my way to create one. I like attention like that. I mean, think about it. I'm a YouTuber. I've been doing it a decade. Hair loss avoidable on gear. Who cares, Luke? Shave your head. Be a man. Most recommended late novice, early intermediate program. 531. My gym has really shitty bars. Think I'm almost on neural. I'm starting to have to strap up for a lot of deadlifts, RDL row work. This become a problem. It might be. Good powerlifting GPP options for someone who currently doesn't have access to a sled or prowler. Tire flips. Barbell complexes, weighted carries. Respect Jack LaLanne as well. Jack LaLanne had some goofy ass ideas, but for his era, let's set that aside. He didn't know any better. Given the era, Jack LaLanne is basically a fitness hero. He brought a lot of lifting stuff to the forefront. He was a legend. I mean, this is a guy who, when he was asked at like age 90, what did he attribute his longevity to? And he said the deadlift. We got to give some props for that. He died at age 92, still doing fitness. He was an icon in the 50s, you know. So you've got to have some respect for that. He got a lot of stuff wrong, but he didn't have the science or knowledge to know any better. So he did the best that he could in his time. So, you know, even though he had some ideas that were definitely wrong, it's not his fault. People literally accuse Alpha Destiny of lying that his last name was Leonidas, blowing my mind they didn't take it. I know it's legal ID. It's really his name. Coach, do you think potassium deficiency can create soreness and hurt recovery? Yes, it'll hurt your gym performance too. My max bench press is 155 and my deadlift PR is 315 for 3. I'm in the same boat for deadlifts to bench ratio as you. No, not quite. You just need to put more muscle on. You're still young and a noob. Those are noob numbers all the way around. When you lifted at commercial gyms, did you ever get advice to younger guys? All the time, and girls. I had plenty of women ask me for lifting advice too. Girls and guys both. 10 to 20 sets per week is optimal, but only if you did 5 sets with the percentage of gains are left on the table. Honestly, 5 is going to give you still a pretty good chunk of your gains. I can't give you an exact number, but you could still make good gains on 5 quality sets a week. It's not going to be 0. If you're making 0 gains, you're probably doing too much. Jason, I have trouble holding the bar in place for low bar squats once it gets heavy. What can I do to control the bar better for the low bar position? You need to change your grip. You need to get it in the webbing of your hand. That's your problem. You don't have the grip perfect, and you're not going to have a lot of wiggle room. You got to find the perfect grip. How much more gains is 20 plus sets versus 10 versus? What do you mean? It's going to be less gains probably. I heard about Jack LaLanne. He was pretty cool. Charles Atlas, another legend from there. Charles Atlas was a legend too. I don't know that he put as much info out as Jack. Like Jack LaLanne, like Charles Atlas was more of just like a figure that was seen. Whereas in Jack LaLanne tried his best to teach people. You said women ask you for lifting advice. The common view approached by women. Why wouldn't it be? I'm an outgoing guy, believe it or not. Do you like Tony Horton? I'm not quite sure who Tony Horton is. I've heard the name somewhere. I don't know who he is, though. Hey, Jason, my right adductor bothers me a little bit when I'm squatting. Why is this, and what can I do to correct it? Strengthen it. Maybe let it recover a little better. Get some blood flow to it, some active recovery to it. You might be overusing it. You need to ease back into it gradually. How much omega-3 do you take? What brand? I take the Kirkland brand. I take 10 fish oil caps a day. Can you apply 531 to some kind of, no, quit doing full body workouts if you're not a ranked novice. Tony Horton made P90X. That's garbage programming. Coach, since there is no evidence of any super cesareans following highly restricted diets, why do people still believe they work? Because they do. Has a guy ever asked you for a spot in the gym, just wanted you to help him through every rep? Yep, we've all been there 20 times. You like Rip Toes squat tips for hip drive? When I do, just feels like I'm shooting my ass up. I mean, it depends on the person. You know, depends on the person. You're going to have some hip involvement, though, with any sort of wide stance squat. Jason, based on do low bar squats work the quads the same as high bar, or is it mostly based on foot stance? Depends on angle of knee bend. All right. The amount of quad that you get depends on how deep your knee angle is. That's it. Nothing to do with stance width. So if depth is equal at the knee joint, they work the same amount of quad. Nazgul, I'm going to ban you, bro. For asking me if I would do G per P. That's it. You're a fucking weirdo freak. I thought you asked some good questions, but you just kind of exposed yourself for the weird fucking freak that you are. If you exceed maximum recoverable volume, your performance will go down. So I don't get why this still builds muscle. It does. It just builds less. Is practicing dips and pull-ups without going close to failure going to make them better at them when progressing on bench and rows? Depends on how much volume we're doing and how you program them. That's not a yes or a no question. Crazy, maybe things have changed, but people at the gym I go to are all antisocial, never talk to one another, keep their headphones in, maybe since most of us are young. Yeah, it could be it. Yeah, ask Ken about G4P. He's gone. And he normally has been a good poster, but that's it. I don't put up with that shit. I've heard Matt Winning say excessive knee bend on squats is bad for longevity. Man, that's a tough one. I don't think it's so much that excessive knee bend. I think it's how much total reps you do with the deep knee bend. So maybe you need to maximize the work that you do. But then again, it depends. I mean, I'm going pretty deep, but my knee bend is reasonable with that nice wide stance. So look at that last squat I did earlier this week, that 510 training max. That was deep. That was at least 3 inches below parallel, right? Yep. So there's something possibly to that with winning, because winning does understand longevity, but I don't think it's just that. I think it's how many total reps you load it with. This is where we get into the overuse issue. That's why you see me right now, because I have healthy knees. I'm at 45 trying to break squat records too coming up, of doing as fewer reps as possible while maximizing performance. And then I get my other quad work from my deadlifts and sled drags. So it's really going to be like in a week, if you do like a 5x5 or whatever, and then I do a few heavy singles, like 28 total reps. That's not that many. Is this live? Yes, it is, but just for a few more minutes. Roids, what is G for? It means gay for pay. Jason has asked before, what is your opinion on hamstring curl as a hamstring exercise? It depends on which machine you use, because they have different effects. Like the laying machine has active insufficiency at the top, so it actually really sucks. The standing one is pretty good. The seated one is probably the best, but I don't think any of them compete with the glute ham raise. And I'm going to almost say that if you don't have access to a glute ham raise, I like the Romanian deadlift. I like the Romanian deadlift in that case for a lot of people if they really have lagging hamstrings. Jason, is a lying tricep extension a good accessory for the overhead press? Yes, I think it is. I think people like front squats for quads because they can get deeper than normal. You shouldn't be able to get deeper than normal, though. You're still strong. You remind me of Reform Stoic. I don't know who Reform Stoic is, but I hope that's a compliment. Appreciate it if it is. Hey, Jason, glad to have caught one of these 4:30 a.m. here in Australia and time to train. Is there value in training a big lift more than once a week in consideration of strength as a skill? Oh, nuanced topic. I don't think that it does. The evidence shows that your total volume with it. But here's the other thing. Are we doing really complex lifts? Like, is a back squat or a deadlift really that complicated? You can't maximize your technique with 20 reps, 25 reps a week with it. I think that you can. My deadlift is stuck at 605 for a single at body weight 218. How should I program it to get stronger consistently? More deadlift work, better fatigue management, find your weakest link and hypertrophy it. Are you familiar with Doug Bernoli? A little bit I've heard about Doug Bernoli. I'm not interested in him. Slasher, I'm not even going to pretend what all that means. Is there a 531 workout log and app for Apple? Probably. Crazy how much trolling goes on. Glad you don't put up with it, not even just live, even from the comments. Yeah, dude, I just ban them. Greetings from Jerusalem. How would your training look different if you were going to prioritize a single one of the three main lifts? I don't know that I would prioritize it from a training perspective so much as an accessory perspective. Because if you're going to do all three, because you didn't say specialize in just one, you're prioritizing. I would put more work into the accessories for it, right? That's what I would personally do. But notice, like, for example, right now, there's a bias in my big three. If you look at my programming for the week, really, what's my prioritization if you were to look at my total accessory work? Clearly, bench is more important right now than deadlift and then squats third, right? Is subbing out the low bar back squat for high bar back squats, longer front squats good? Maybe, maybe not. Some people can't low bar squat, and in which case, in just high bar squat. But you're going to need some other posterior chain work for sure if you do that. Front squats wouldn't be what I'd be worried about at that point. Hey Jason, if the bar is too low squats, wants to slide off my back once it gets heavy, do I need to adjust my grip? Yes. Can our intermediate make decent gains on just 1 to 4 sets a week of a muscle? Intermediate, that's pushing it a little bit. A Romanian deadlift is not knee flexion for the hamstring, no, unlike the GHR, so it isn't a hamstring curl. No, because a lot of hamstring curls are really that bad. Right? That's the problem. Depending on what hamstring curl you have access to, you still might get better hamstring development from an RDM than the hamstring curl. Even though you're thinking of that one function, I'm still talking about total hamstring development. Everybody backs down to you all these years, still lifting. Yeah, they talk crap. If chest is my weak link, would doing dumbbell bench after boring your big be enough once a week, or can I add it on a second day? I don't know that you need it for a second day. You got to watch your total volume. At a certain point, you may be exceeding your recoverable volume or getting, such diminished returns that you get less gains from it. Boy, I already answered your question. Why have you asked it 3 times? I answered it the first time you asked it. You might need to backtrack and re-listen to this. I answered it the very first time you asked it in this live feed. Hey, Jason, whenever I squat, why do I feel lower pain in my back? Thoughts on how to fix form? I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on with your form. Your low back is probably weak and out of shape. You need to up your work capacity there. I'm noticeably smaller on my right side and am right-handed. Any tips correct this? Just train balance. That's it. You have any thoughts about getting back into martial arts? What made you start originally? What made you stop? No interest. I carry a gun. Why do I need martial arts? A lot of time wasted when I live in a place where everyone is armed. What good's it going to do me? Everyone carries a gun where I live. I don't know anybody who's not strapped. So what good is martial arts going to do me? I'm going to waste thousands of hours I could be dedicating to another sport. What made me start, I watched Karate Kid. I'm 45. Everyone my age who did martial arts did karate because we all watched Karate Kid. It was a big hit. The whole school was taking karate. Half my class was taking karate. We were taking karate at the same dojo. I quit because it got boring and wasn't that useful to my life. Coach, your overhand pin lay row superior to underhand, or are they both fine? I prefer do them overhand. Dread, you're gone for mentioning Jason Genova. We don't discuss that bullshit here. Actually, I'm going to give you one pass. No more. I'm going to not ban you. Just because you were nice earlier. Would you ever consider bringing back the Jason Blaha Vice Challenge this years ago? No. Will tricep push downs with bands close to failure for higher reps build smaller amounts of muscle like cable press down? I don't know. Do upright rows count as a bicep volume? Maybe, probably not, unless maybe they're really narrow, they'd be half sets. What do you think about 75% training for max for 3x10s as a sub for boring but big? No. No. Fuck no. Next question. How many reps and sets for kettlebell swings when doing GPP? If you're counting, it's not GPP. When inflation/supply chain issues get bad and meat becomes difficult for people to get, what tips do you have to get enough protein, make more money, and buy the meat? Jason, is an ox. Don't let the, oh my God. All right, Dred, you're just getting silly. All right, I'm going to go ahead and ban you now. You had the Genova comment earlier. You're trying to be nice, but you're weird and creepy, and you're gone. I do 50 reps for kettlebell swings on GBP day as well as farmers watching dead hangs as well as other band work. That's reasonable. 10 sets for a muscle every 4 days versus 10 sets. No, you're just overthinking it. Jason, for bent over rows, do you think we should pause it on the top? Nope. What's up, Jason? Do you have any solutions to help in not waking up to pee? Wake up and pee. Don't piss yourself in the bed. What's the problem? Do you not have a toilet in your house? Why can't you get up and go? Just get up and go pee. Thoughts on crutches on a Swiss ball ab? No. Bullshit. Not useful. Weighted push-ups better for military than bench press? No, I think close grip bench will bring up your military press a lot. Are lat pull downs better than rows for pull-ups or lats? Fat pull downs are for fat weak people. Hey, Jason, can you unban Truth from yesterday's stream? Nope, he got banned. That's it. He shouldn't have fucked up. Thoughts on Kobe Bryant only sleeping 2 to 4 hours a night year-round but still performing well? Do you have proof of that, or is that just a claim that an athlete makes like a lot of the bullshit that they come up with? Keep in mind, people harass me for things I joked about or bullshitted about in the past. But then Kobe Bryant will say some stupid shit like that, and people don't call him out on it. Oh, yeah, man, I only sleep 2 to 4 hours a night, making millions of dollars as a high-level athlete. Do you really believe that shit? Why don't people go troll him for saying silly shit like that we know he probably just made up? Because athletes love to brag about how they're just so much better that they can do everything wrong and still be the best. It's just like a weird thing athletes like to do. They make up bullshit. You really think he only sleeps 2, 3, 4 hours a night and is that damn good at a sport? Come on. All right. What are your thoughts on running an Arnold split as a novice lifter? I think that's a bad idea. Why would you do that? All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wind this one down. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope it has been informative. I love all of you, and I will talk to you guys next time.